Welcome to the Four Bells and welcome to another workout from home. Workout from home number 63. Today, in the face of all lockdowns and shenanigans going on in Ontario and Canada and the world as a whole, we've decided that rather than doing our GPP programming, our general physical preparedness programming, we are going to start a new cycle. So to get us ready for t-shirt weather, we are looking at an arms and abs cycle. Do not worry, it doesn't mean we're just doing arms and abs all the time. There's still going to be leg days in there, squatting days, hinging days, but our focus in terms of muscular development and strength development is going to be in the arms and in the abs. So today we have got a nice start to that, upper body day today. And we are going to warm up for our upper body day with three things. We're going to start with some shoulder circles, what's known as a controlled articular rotation. We're going to add some complexity to those shoulder circles and basically just get the shoulder joint ready and nice and warmed and lubricated. From there, we're going to do the tabletop, which is great for shoulder extension, getting the arm behind you, as well as trying to open up the pecs and the hips and the hamstrings, so a nice amount of mobility across the whole body. From there, we're going to get into our lat stretch, particularly if you spend a lot of time sitting at a desk, or maybe you don't always have the best postural position, the lats can get very tight. So we're going to try and warm up the whole shoulder girdle. We're going to do these three things 3 times in the warm-up today. Let's have a look how those guys should be going. For the warm-up today, 3 things to get us ready. The first is shoulder circles. So all we're going to do is just basically try and lubricate the shoulder joint, get the synovial fluid, which is like the WD-40 of your joint, get that in there, get all the joints all warmed up, and get us ready for our pressing and pulling work that we're going to do today. So when it comes to shoulder circles, you can really get as inventive as you want to. You can start with very simple shoulder circles, just focusing on one arm at a time, and then moving on to the other arm. We can go with both arms backwards. We can go both arms forwards. You can go opposite in one direction. You can do one arm across and back on the other side. You can get into like figure eights and all these kinds of crazy hourglass shapes if you want to. Essentially, whatever one works best for you, or I'd even say whichever one makes you feel the shoulders in terms of tightness, focus on that one. So play around with a few before you get started today and try some stuff. We're going to do 30 seconds of some kind of shoulder circle. So mix it up each round if you want to, or just stay at the same one. From there, when it comes to the tabletop is one of our rights that we've taken from Tibetan yoga. So when I'm looking at the tabletop, I'm looking at a few different things. I do thinking that I'm sitting on the floor, and I will usually avoid using a mat for this. I find if I'm sitting on a mat, it's a bit too squishy and it kind of stops me moving around. So I want to have the hands by the hip, and I'm going to press that hand down. So the question is, in terms of my shoulder function, do I like the fingers pointing forwards, to the side? Do I like the hand turned backwards? Whatever feels best for you, do that. I'm going to press the hands into the floor, pushing the bum up off the floor. From there, when the bum is off the floor, heels come down, toes to the floor, and I push those hips up to the ceiling. So I've got 90 degrees in the shoulder, 90 degrees in the knee. I then come down, bum comes through the hands, I pull the toes up towards my face, and I come back up to the ceiling. So we're going to do 10 reps of the tabletop before we move on to the lat stretch. With the lat stretch, all I need is a post, maybe a door handle, probably like a door frame is probably the easiest thing to do. All I need to do is think, if I was an old-timey gunslinger, all I'm going to do is come from the hip, hold on to my post, could be a door, could be a handle, could be anything, and I'm going to walk back, hinge, get into that almost Romanian deadlift position, and I'm just going to sit back. So I can feel a stretch down the lats already, down the side of the back. And I'm going to think, if I'm holding it with my right arm, I can step back with my right leg, bring that torso down further, rotate around, find the bits that feel sticky and awful. That's kind of pretty awful for me, so I'm going to hang out here, and we're going to do 30 seconds per side. So, shoulder circles for 30 seconds, tabletop for 10 reps, lat stretch for 30 seconds per side. We're doing that for 3 rounds in the warm-up today. With today's strength piece, we have got a classic push-pull. We are looking at some push-ups today, and we are also looking at some kind of supinated pulling. We're going to talk about a few options available to us. So with our strength piece today, we're going to do 5 sets. Each set is 3 minutes long, split into 2 90-second windows of time. So in my first 90 seconds, we are going to do some push-ups today. So normally when we write push-ups, that sometimes means that when you're at home, if you have a sweet home gym available to you, that means do bench press. We are not bench pressing today. We're just trying to focus on push-ups. So when everyone's trying to forget the bench press for a day, we're just going to try and work on our push-ups. So depending on where I am with my push-up journey, the rep scheme should be similar. So that means if I'm doing a scaled push-up, maybe I'm on the edge of my couch, on the stairs, or on a box, I'm elevated up slightly, it's still going to be the same as if I'm doing a regular push-up on the floor. We're trying to do 5 to 10 reps today. So if I can do reps 8, 9, and 10 with relative ease and fantastic form, then we should be trying to make those push-ups a little bit harder as we go through the sets. So that means if I can, get a little bit closer to the floor, or maybe go from regular push-ups to diamond push-ups, trying to find ways to make my push-ups more challenging, regardless of where I am. If you're a real push-up ninja, we could be looking at one-arm push-ups today. And we'll talk about a few options for one-arm push-ups, and I should be doing 5 on my second strongest side first, and then my strongest side second. When we come into our next 90 seconds today, depending on what I have available, is going to depend on the exercise and depend on the rep scheme. So we're going to do some kind of supinated row, so that means palms up, which means we're going to focus a little bit more on elbow flexion and the biceps before we get into the lats. So ideally, I would like you to be doing some kind of body weight row. So that could be TRX row, rings, and of course if you don't have that kind of rowing available to you, you could do it with dumbbells or with a barbell, but still in that supinated position. And of course, if you don't want to do that, you want to work on your chin-ups today, still fantastic, but instead of doing 10 reps in our row, if we're doing chin-ups or negatives today, we're going to half that amount of volume because the intensity is going to be that much higher, and we're going to do 5 instead. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about how push-ups should look and how our rows or chin-ups should look today. Encouraging everyone to step away from absolute strength training. So no barbells, no dumbbells today. I'm trying to get you just to work with your body weight and do some push-ups. So of course, everyone's on a different end of the scale with push-ups. Some people are just trying to get their first push-up. Some people have been doing tons of push-ups for years and are very good at them. So whatever you're trying to do, and I say this to everyone all the time, is it doesn't matter about today's workout. Today's workout, of course, does matter. But what really matters is trying to make sure that I can train not only today, but for years to come. So of course, we always have to think about shoulder health when we are looking at our push-ups. Here at the 4 Bells, we are very serious about keeping your shoulders very healthy and happy. So we have a position where we're really trying to focus on external rotation. So I've said this before, if you imagine you are holding onto a bar and I'm trying to bend that bar, that position of external rotation, even then it makes me feel like my lats are engaged, it pulls my humeral head, my upper arm bone into that shoulder socket, and I can really stabilize my shoulder as I'm trying to do some kind of push-up. So whether I'm doing a scaled push-up, and that could be something like this box or on the edge of the stairs, the hand position should look the same. So that means I'm going to corkscrew, pivot the elbow forwards, I'm still keeping a tight plank when I'm doing my push-up, making sure the elbows stay by the ribcage. I'm not flaring those elbows out. And even from there, I'm moving onto the floor. I'm still keeping that elbow position nice and tight. And even if I'm moving onto a diamond position where I'm really trying to overload the tricep, I'm still keeping those elbows nice and tight to the body as I perform my diamond push-up. And of course, if I'm looking at some kind of one-arm variation, I'm still trying to think to myself, I want to keep the shoulder over the hand, keep that elbow close to the rib cage. So even if I'm just trying to move the arm out to the side, that position should still look the same. I'm still trying to keep that shoulder close to the hand and keep those shoulders as healthy as possible. So if we're doing our push-ups today, we're going to do 5 to 10 reps, which means if 5 is really tough for you, that's fantastic. Stay exactly where you are. But if I can do 8, 9, and 10 with relative ease, without the form falling apart, we should be trying to get things a little bit more spicy. And of course, if I'm trying to do a one-arm variation today, we're going to do 5 on our second strongest side, because we want that guy to catch up, and then 5 on our strongest side second. Good luck, enjoy your pushes. So for our pairing exercise with our horizontal push today, we're going to look at some kind of horizontal or maybe even a vertical pull to balance out that shoulder girdle. So when we are doing our rows today, I'm trying to encourage everybody to do a lot of body weight work today. So maybe you have some rings, maybe you have a TRX. If you don't, that's okay. But what we're looking for if we're doing our rings or TRX rows is that supinated grip. So we say it in the gym a lot, how do I know the difference between supination and pronation? Supination is drinking soup. That's what it was. Silly, it's a silly cue, but it works very well here at the gym. So that means when we're doing our position of supination, it means we're going to start with elbow flexion first. That means the biceps get a little bit more work than the lats. So lats still get some work, but we're going on arms focus. So let's do some extra work for the arms. So when I set up for my rings or TRX row, all I want to think is a nice tight plank position. And as you can see, my palms into the ceiling. I want the bum tight, legs tight, abs tight. I'm going to drive the elbows back, rings to the chest, and nice and smooth for 10 reps. There should be control the whole way. We're not doing any craziness with the hips and flopping around. It should be nice and controlled for 10 reps. So of course, if you're thinking to yourself, well that's great, but I don't have rings and I don't have a TRX. You could use dumbbells, you could use a barbell, but still use that position of supination. So that could be on a barbell. If I have a barbell, I set up my supinated hand position, palms facing forward. I'm going to hinge forwards into that Romanian deadlift position, drive the elbows back, and I perform my 10 reps, maybe adding a little bit more weight as I go. And of course, you could do that single-handed if you only have one kettlebell or one dumbbell, maybe do 10 per arm. When it comes to chin-ups, we're going to do 5 reps there. So of course, intensity, I'm using my whole body, it's a little bit harder, so we're going to drop that volume down a little bit, so I'm going to do 5 reps. So if I'm doing my chin-ups, hands should be supinated as well, palms facing me, and the intention is drive the elbow back past the body as much as we can. So if I can, I start from a dead hand, from here I pull up, pause at the top for a split second, and then come back down under control to our starting position. If that is a little bit too tough for you, we're going to do some negatives, so maybe get a box or get a lower chin-up bar if you have that available to you. I do it at the gym, I'm very lucky, and I can jump up, then pause at the top, and then from the top all the way down, maybe somewhere from 3 to 5 seconds to a straight arm. So if I'm doing rows, we're doing 10 reps today, trying to make them more challenging as we go. If we're doing chin-ups, you can add some weight, do some negatives, mix and match with the reps however you want to, but we're only doing 5. Enjoy! The conditioning piece today is a short and sweet little number because we know we have some extra sauce to do after. We've got an hour, so we're going to try and pack as much into this hour as possible. With our conditioning piece, we are doing a 10-minute AMRAP, 600 seconds of joy, where we are going to cycle through in each round 3 things. My first thing is some kind of cardiovascular component. So as you can see on the board here, we've got 200 meters, we've got 20 calories, we've got 50 jumping jacks or high knees. And really it's looking at what do you have available. So do you have a rowing machine at home? Do you have a treadmill? Do you have a bike? Do you have a skipping rope? Whatever you have available, we're trying to choose that cardiovascular option for you. So pick the one that works best for you. From there, it says on the board, dumbbell push press. But you can really do a push press with anything. It could be with a barbell, could be with a sandbag, could be with 2 cats. Whatever you want to do, we're going to be doing 15 reps today with a push press. And last but not least, a rotating side plank. So in a side plank position, we're going to thread the needle. We're going to show you how that works. And I'm going to do 10 on one side and 10 on the other. So what we're going to do is cardio option, push press, both sides of the side plank. We're going to cycle through these things as quickly as possible in 10 minutes. With the conditioning piece today, a 10-minute AMRAP, we are going through 3 things. That cardiovascular option, some push pressing, and then some rotational side planking. So when it comes to that cardio piece, what do I have available? And this is always the question we're working at home is, how do I make the most of the resources available to me? Do I maybe have a rowing machine? Could do 200 meters or 20 calories, whichever I prefer. If I was on like a Concept 2 bike, I'd probably double the distance if I'm on a bike. So maybe I'll do 400 meters or still 20 calories. If I don't have any machines or a treadmill or anything available, I would say maybe 50 reps of like a jumping jack or some high knees or skipping rope. All I would say is if you're going to do things like jumping jacks or high knees, I'd probably alternate them along. Particularly with things like jumping jacks, can be quite stressful on the joints, but we're doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. So my advice is kind of rotate through some body weight options available to you. When it comes to dumbbell push pressing, it says dumbbells, obviously I said dumbbell push pressing, but if you don't have a dumbbell available, could be just an empty barbell, could be a sandbag, could be 2 small children, whatever you and your conscience decides. From here, all I'm looking to do is to use the legs to help me initiate the lift. So that means a little dip and then drive up. With that dip, what I'm trying not to do is hinge. So I'm not allowing my butt to come back and torso to come forwards. I'm trying to keep my torso nice and upright, load the quad, and then drive up overhead, control back down to the shoulder. Dip, drive, back down to the shoulder. We're going to do 15, 1-5 push presses of some kind. When it comes to our rotational side plank, I would just say have something to cushion the elbow. We're going to do our side planks on our elbow, which means from here, I'm going to have the elbow directly below the shoulder. Stack my feet on top of each other. If that's too hard, maybe you can stagger the feet, widen the base a little bit for you. Arm up to my elbow. All I'm going to do is look at my hand. I start with the fingers overhead. I rotate through and back up. That's 1 rep. I rotate through, looking at my fingers the whole time. Trying to make sure that the hips don't sag. Push those hips up. And we're going to do 10 reps on one side, followed by 10 reps on the other. So our conditioning piece today, a 10-minute AMRAP, 200 meters, 20 calories, 50 jumping jacks, 15 push presses, 10 per side of a rotational side plank, and that is going to be our 600 seconds of joy today. For the extra sauce today, we are doing Tabata bicep curls. So if you know what Tabata interval is designed for, originally designed for increasing aerobic capacity in sprint cyclists in Japan, we're not going to use that today. We're going to use that Tabata format as a means for muscular endurance and a bit of a burn for the biceps today. Try and get a sweet, delicious pump on at the end of our workout today. So that means that when we're doing our bicep curls, we're going to be doing them for 20 seconds of work, followed by 10 seconds of rest. 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest, and we're going to do that 8 times. In terms of what you have available to you, you might have to get creative. So of course there's simple things, as we know, we're going to be doing a fair amount of volume, a fair amount of reps across this 4-minute finisher today, which means that you might just need just an empty barbell. You might need just a relatively light pair of dumbbells, maybe a relatively light band, maybe a relatively light kettlebell. You don't have to go super, super duper light, but we know we're going to be doing a ton of reps across 4 minutes, which means if you go too heavy, it's going to get real emotional and real awful super quickly. So have a look around you. What do you have available to you? Could you grab some heavy bags of groceries, a bag of soil, 2 heavy cats, whatever you happen to have. Have a look around. We're going to be doing bicep curls for 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest, 8 times for a delightful 4-minute finisher today. Enjoy.